The first time it happened, I didn't think much of it. The gentle knock on my bedroom door startled me. It was 1:37 a.m. According to the glowing red digits of my clock. I assumed my stepdad, Mark, just needed something. Perhaps the Wi-Fi had gone out, or he needed to ask where Mom kept her work papers. "Hey, just checking on you," he said, cracking the door open slightly. His face, half shadowed by the dim hallway light, wore a strange mix of concern and something I couldn't quite place. I nodded, unsure of what else to say. He lingered a moment longer, then closed the door. At first, I dismissed it. Mom had been out of town visiting her sister, leaving Mark and me alone in the house. Mark had been my stepdad for 3 years, ever since he swept into our lives with his easy charm and warm demeanor. My mom adored him, and he seemed to genuinely care about both of us. But that night marked the beginning of something I couldn't have predicted. Over the following weeks, Mark began spending more time around me. It started subtly helping me with homework I didn't ask for help on, offering to watch movies he knew I liked, and cooking elaborate dinners when Mom worked late. His attention felt flattering at first. After all, I'd never had a father figure who seemed genuinely interested in me. My real dad had left when I was too young to remember much, and Mark's presence filled that void. But his behavior soon crossed into something more personal. He started sharing stories about his past relationships, details I didn't think were appropriate for him to discuss with me. "Your mom is amazing," he said one evening, sitting across the kitchen table. "But sometimes, well, marriage can get complicated." I wasn't sure how to respond. Was he confiding in me? Testing my boundaries? Or was it just innocent conversation? It was another late night when Mark came into my room again. This time, the knock was softer, more hesitant. "Can I come in?" he asked. I nodded reluctantly, sitting up in bed. He sat on the edge of my mattress, a glass of wine in his hand. "I'm sorry if I've been weird lately," he began, swirling the wine in his glass. "Your mom and I have been drifting, and it's been hard. You're the only one I feel I can talk to." His words made my chest tighten. I wasn't sure whether to feel flattered by his trust or deeply uncomfortable. The air between us felt heavy, charged with something unsaid. He reached out and placed his hand on mine. "You're so mature for your age," he said softly. "It's easy to forget you're still so young." I pulled my hand away and muttered something about needing to sleep. He hesitated but eventually left the room. That night, I lay awake, replaying the moment over and over in my head. Over the next few months, Mark's behavior grew bolder. He began texting me when Mom wasn't around, sending messages that towed the line between friendly and flirtatious. "You're so much like your mom," he wrote once. "But you've got your own spark, too." I didn't tell anyone. I was too confused, too ashamed. Part of me didn't want to believe it was happening. I tried to distance myself, spending more time out of the house and avoiding him whenever possible. But Mark always found ways to insert himself into my life. Then one evening, everything came to a head. Mom was out of town again, and Mark had cooked dinner. As we sat across the table, he poured me a glass of wine, a move that felt deliberate, even predatory. "You know you can trust me, right?" he said, his eyes locking onto mine. I nodded hesitantly. "Sometimes I feel like we understand each other better than anyone else," he continued. "Don't you think so?" I pushed my chair back abruptly, mumbling an excuse about needing to finish homework. Mark stood up, blocking my path. "Wait," he said, his voice low. "I need to know if you feel it too. This connection." Panic surged through me. "Mark, this is wrong," I said, my voice trembling. "You're married to my mom." He looked at me, his face a mixture of guilt and desperation. "I can't help how I feel," he whispered. I pushed past him and locked myself in my room, my heart pounding. That night, I knew I couldn't keep this to myself any longer. The next morning, I called my mom. Through tears, I told her everything. There was a long silence on the other end of the line before she finally spoke. I don't know what to say, she said, her voice breaking. Are you sure, sweetheart? Yes, I replied firmly. He's crossed the line too many times. Mom came home that evening, and the confrontation that followed was explosive. Mark denied everything at first, accusing me of misunderstanding his intentions. But when Mom pressed him, his facade crumbled. I've been unhappy, he admitted. I never meant for things to go this far. Mom kicked him out that night. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness. Mom and I tried to rebuild our relationship, but the trust between us had been deeply shaken. She blamed herself for not seeing the signs, while I wrestled with guilt for not speaking up sooner. In the years since, I've come to understand the complexity of what happened. Mark's actions were inexcusable, but they stemmed from his own emotional turmoil and insecurities. My mom and I eventually grew closer, united by the shared trauma of his betrayal. Infidelity doesn't just destroy relationships. It leaves scars that take years to heal, but it also taught me the importance of boundaries, communication, and self-respect. And while the memory of those nights still haunts me, it no longer defines me.